The Battle of Cannae, one of the most famous and well-studied engagements in military history, took place on August 2, 216 BCE, in southeastern Italy, during the Second Punic War between Rome and Carthage. Fought near the small village of Cannae, it is renowned for Hannibal Barca's tactical brilliance and for being one of Rome's most devastating military defeats. The battle had profound ramifications for the course of the war and left a lasting legacy in the art of warfare. To understand Cannae in depth, one must explore its causes, the belligerents, their strategic challenges, and the larger geopolitical context. The Second Punic War, 218–201 BCE, was sparked by long-standing animosities between the expanding Roman Republic and Carthage, a powerful city-state in North Africa. The conflict arose from competition over dominance in the Mediterranean, particularly in regions like Sicily and Spain. Hannibal, the brilliant Carthaginian general, had taken command of Carthaginian forces in Spain and, in 218 BCE, launched a bold invasion of Italy by crossing the Alps with his army, including war elephants. This surprise move sent shockwaves through Rome and set the stage for the bloody conflict to come. In the years preceding Cannae, Hannibal had already inflicted significant defeats on the Romans at the battles of Trivia, 218 BCE, and Lake Trasimene, 217 BCE. These victories, marked by Hannibal's ability to outmaneuver larger Roman forces, emboldened him and terrified the Roman Republic. Despite these setbacks, Rome remained resilient and massed larger armies to confront him directly. By 216 BCE, the Romans had grown increasingly impatient with their inability to stop Hannibal's ravaging of Italy. They sought a decisive engagement that could crush his army and end the Carthaginian threat. Cannae, a small town in Apulia, became the site of the battle. The town was strategically important because it lay near Roman grain supplies, and Hannibal had occupied it, threatening Rome's food resources. The Roman Senate, eager to protect these vital supplies and strike a decisive blow, sent its forces to confront Hannibal head-on. The Roman army at Cannae was enormous by ancient standards, numbering between 80,000 and 90,000 men. It was composed mainly of infantry, including the heavily armed Roman legionaries and the lighter-armed allied soldiers from Rome's Italian allies. The Romans were led by two consuls, Lucius Aemilius Paulus and Gaius Terentius Varro, who alternated command on successive days. This divided leadership, however, would prove to be problematic. Paulus, the more cautious of the two, favored a defensive strategy, while Varro was more aggressive and eager for a confrontation. Hannibal's forces, on the other hand, numbered about 40,000 infantry and 10,000 cavalry, a significantly smaller army. His troops were a diverse mix of Carthaginians, Numidians, Iberians, and Gauls, and they were battle-hardened from years of campaigning. What Hannibal lacked in numbers, however, he made up for with superior cavalry and his uncanny ability to exploit the weaknesses of his opponents. The Roman strategy, typical of their military doctrine, was to rely on the strength of their heavy infantry. Roman legions would form a dense, deep formation designed to smash through the enemy with sheer force. However, this approach had already failed in previous engagements with Hannibal, who excelled in outflanking and encircling the less mobile Roman armies. Hannibal, aware of Rome's reliance on brute strength, devised a brilliant tactical plan. He formed his troops in a crescent-shaped, shallow formation, with his weaker infantry in the center and his stronger infantry on the wings. His cavalry, which outmatched the Roman horsemen in both skill and numbers, was positioned on the flanks. The idea was to lure the Roman infantry forward into the center of his formation, where the Carthaginian line would gradually retreat, giving the appearance of breaking under pressure. Meanwhile, Hannibal's cavalry would defeat the Roman cavalry on the flanks, sweep around, and encircle the Roman infantry from behind. This plan took advantage of several key Roman vulnerabilities. First, the Romans, confident in their superior numbers, believed they could win by simply advancing head-on. Second, their reliance on massed infantry left them inflexible, and their cavalry was not strong enough to protect their flanks. Additionally, the Roman commanders, especially Varro, were overconfident and eager for a direct confrontation. On the day of the battle, it was Varro who held command and ordered a full-scale attack on the Carthaginian center. The Roman infantry, as expected, advanced en masse and began to push back the Carthaginian line. However, as Hannibal had planned, the Carthaginian center, consisting of Iberian and Gallic troops, gradually retreated in an orderly fashion, creating a crescent-shaped enclosure around the Roman forces. As the Roman infantry advanced deeper into this trap, Hannibal's elite African infantry, stationed on the wings, moved inward and struck the Roman flanks. Meanwhile, Hannibal's cavalry, led by the skilled Numidian horsemen, routed the Roman cavalry and then circled around to attack the Roman infantry from behind. In a matter of hours, the entire Roman army was encircled in a double envelopment, one of the most famous tactical maneuvers in military history. The Roman forces, trapped and unable to maneuver, were cut down en masse. The slaughter was horrific, with estimates suggesting that between 50,000 and 70,000 Roman soldiers were killed. Roman officers and leaders, including Consul Paulus, died in the fighting, though Varro managed to escape. Hannibal's losses were minimal in comparison, with around 5,000 to 8,000 of his troops killed. The Battle of Cannae was a catastrophic defeat for Rome, the worst in its history. The loss of so many soldiers, including a significant portion of the Roman elite, left the Republic in a state of shock and despair. In the immediate aftermath, many of Rome's Italian allies, who had previously remained loyal, defected to Hannibal, believing that Rome's power was broken. Despite this crushing defeat, however, the Roman Republic did not capitulate. Rome displayed remarkable resilience, refusing to negotiate peace with Hannibal. Instead, the Romans adopted a strategy of attrition, avoiding direct confrontations with Hannibal and focusing on cutting off his supply lines and isolating him from reinforcements. Over time, this strategy paid off, and Hannibal, unable to capture Rome or receive substantial reinforcements from Carthage, was eventually forced to retreat to North Africa. The war ended in 201 BCE with Carthage's defeat at the Battle of Zama, where Hannibal faced Scipio Africanus. The significance of Cannae extends far beyond the Second Punic War. Hannibal's tactics, particularly his double envelopment, have been studied and admired by military commanders throughout history, including Napoleon Bonaparte and the German General Staff during World War I and World War II. The battle exemplifies the importance of strategy and tactics over mere numerical superiority, and it remains a case study in how an inferior force can defeat a much larger one through superior planning and execution. The Battle of Cannae was a decisive and pivotal moment in the Second Punic War, highlighting Hannibal's military genius and Rome's resilience in the face of disaster. It is remembered not only for its scale and the sheer loss of life but also for its profound lessons in strategy and leadership. Even though Hannibal won the battle, Rome's ability to recover and eventually win the war shaped the future of the Mediterranean world, securing Rome's rise as the dominant power in the ancient world.